What's up, everybody? Paul here from the Hoops Crew, and it is Nuff of the Week time. And despite the fact there are quite a few pretty decent contenders for Nuff of the Week this week, from a crowd member who threw something at Alir and is probably going to miss out on a year's worth of football now, smack that guy with a consequences as heavy-handed as you like, AFL, to a whole bunch of other stupidity we've seen. There's been quite a bit. It's been a strange old week in the AFL system this week, but nothing trumps the actions of Noah Balta, the AFL, the Richmond Football Club, Adam Uze, and Dimmer Hardwick this week. I don't even know who to specifically nail with the Nuff of the Week title this week. The whole thing has been a colossal... it's just a series of stupid comments, a series of stupid mistakes, and plenty that could have been avoided here. We are, of course, talking about Noah Balta and the fact that he played in the Gold Coast and Richmond game this weekend, played a pretty integral part in giving Richmond the win, I might add as well. And the simple fact of the matter is he shouldn't have been playing in the first place. So there's a whole lot of nuance to this whole situation, a whole lot of controversies around it, a lot of very unhappy people, and we're going to talk about all of it. We're going to go through all of the details, the hows, the whys, who said what in this video. But first, let's take a word from our sponsor.
The Hoops Crew Media Network is proudly sponsored by Cyril Cook Florist. Visit them at shop 1211 Leather Street in Breakwater. Phone them on 035 222 2244 or visit their website at www.cyrilcookflorist.com.au and use the offer code GOCATS in the voucher field at checkout to get 20% off your next online purchase.
Thank you, Cyril Cook Florist, as always, for your ongoing support of the Hoops Crew and all we get up to. Now, we're going to jump across to a clip here from the Sunday Footy Show, where Damien Barrett had some comments. And look, I know Damien Barrett himself can be a figure that some people kind of really dislike. There's others like myself who've got plenty of respect for him in the way he goes about it, even if sometimes I don't necessarily agree with his opinions. What we're going to do here is we're going to take a look at a clip from the Sunday Footy Show this weekend where he spoke perfectly. He really encompassed exactly how I feel about this issue. We're going to listen to the clip and then we're going to kind of jump off that a little bit further and discuss, I guess, some of the other figures in this whole situation. So let's jump across to that now. Hit play.
Damo, there was controversy from a Richmond point of view heading into this match, and there will be controversy possibly even on this show if a man by the name of Noah Balta figures in the votes.
Well, that's another matter. But look, they made a decision as a footy club to place football over a social cause, TJ. And look, that's okay in some people's eyes. They're a football club. But footy clubs do like to tell us how we should and shouldn't live our lives in other social causes. And obviously we're referring to his assault in the off-season in a New South Wales situation, which will have its final adjudication in the courts on Tuesday this week. Now, there's a 2-week lapse here of the AFL ban / the Richmond Footy Club ban to him being available to play football. That club last night chose to play him. I don't agree with it. I feel they should have now waited for the courts to deal with it, given there was only a 2-week delay in that whole process. And I'm not going to be listening to one word that football club says to me about any other social cause while they choose to make that decision.
So that for me is the real key thing. Now, firstly, for a little bit of context for anyone who's kind of unaware, so there was, for some reason, there was a delay to I guess, set up the backdrop to the whole thing. There's obviously been the assault case. I put together a video about it back in at the very beginning of the year, like January 1st or thereabouts, talking about what had happened. But the court date was supposed to have occurred. Like he was meant to get his sentence. He's already pled guilty. He was meant to get kind of the final verdict, and whatever the consequence was going to be, that was going to be issued. For some reason, that got delayed 2 weeks, and these things happen in the legal system from time to time. So nothing really to see there, but there was a delay of 2 weeks. It meant that the 4-week consequence or the 4-week penalty copped from Richmond, which the AFL then endorsed as well, elapsed, and he was suddenly available for selection, despite the fact that he actually hadn't received the consequence, which triggered the footy consequence. He hadn't received, he was off the hook. He was available to play. And it was absolutely mind-boggling to me last week when he got selected to play, I think it was the VFL or against a whole bunch of kids, really. It didn't make any sense there, but I thought, but he's not playing at the top level. They're not promoting him that much. And then they did it. They picked him for Gold Coast and Richmond. And every single person in the world said this was a stupid, stupid decision. We are in a society right now where we are trying to stamp out violence of all sorts. The AFL, and this is what Damo talks about in that clip as well. He talks about how the AFL gets up on its soapbox, and I don't mean this in a condescending or a negative way. They get up on their soapbox along with the clubs and try and get behind, they throw their weight behind important causes in society. Whether you get things like the Freeze MND campaign, or whether you get other like cancer-related campaigns, or really important ones like domestic violence and violence against women. And then the AFL has done a lot of that in recent years. And to have these sorts of campaigns existing and other campaigns, they have like the one punch campaign that they also, the Cowards Punch campaign that they also get behind, putting some really strong statements out about the inappropriate nature of these behaviors from people and the fact that we've got to stamp it out from society. All things I agree with, by the way. To have this sort of messaging out there from the clubs and the AFL, and then to be enabling one player who has absolutely gone against the grain of that. Jumped someone, if you've seen the video, he's basically jumped on this bloke out of nowhere and hooked him. And has pled guilty and is going to accept a consequence for that. And we've just gone, you haven't got your consequence yet, and we'll send you off on a good note because you're about to go into a rough period. We'll give you a game. No. How is that okay? It's not okay in any way, shape, or form. And yet, Richmond did it. And the thing that is most mind-boggling to me is some of the external voices who've supported that from the AFL by simply not pushing back and saying, sorry, no, that's not happening. We've got all these campaigns and this flies in the face of that. And they're a business at the end of the day. So, for them, it's all about imaging. For image, they don't necessarily, I'm sure they do care about violence and violence against women as well. But ultimately they're a business and they just want to make sure their business is protected. And this doesn't do that. Like, people they're going to turn their nose up at this. You've seen the sentiment online and in public quite a lot. Noah Balta got booed quite a lot when he first got possession. That eventually turned to cheers because of the nuffy Richmond supporters who go, no, he's right. No, he's a dickhead who assaulted someone. Don't cheer for people like that. Anyway, setting that aside, the AFL allowed it, which is absolutely insane. They didn't veto that. Can't believe it. Then you get Damien Hardwick, former Richmond coach, now the Gold Coast, the losing coach in this scenario. But obviously, the stars kind of aligned in a very weird and awkward way for this one. But obviously, he's going to be good friends with Noah Balta, and he comes out and says in his press conference afterwards that he's got issues with Jacinta Allen, as in the Premier of Victoria, for speaking out against Noah playing. No, she's got every right to. She's the Premier of the state, in a state where we are trying, as a state, and Dimmer being a Queensland local now is also seeing similar sorts of challenges to stave off violence against people in the streets. And Noah Balta has demonstrated exactly that. So when she gets asked about it, and this is a high-profile thing, so of course she's going to get asked about it, she's going to share her opinions, her thoughts, and say, no, it's not a good idea to be promoting a player like this who has committed an act like this. So Dimmer, shut the fuck up. This was not your place to comment. Say, it's a shame he was out there because he was probably the reason why we didn't win in the end. He staved off the Gold Coast thrusts late in the game when Gold Coast was steaming ahead. They were full steam ahead. They were charging Richmond down. Richmond did a phenomenal job holding it off, but Noah Balta was a significant part of that. If he didn't play, Gold Coast probably would have won. Gold Coast should never have been in that situation to begin with. They're a far better team than Richmond. They should never have let themselves get into a situation like this, but they did. Whatever, that is what it is. Noah Balta is the reason why Richmond held on, as far as I'm concerned. And that should never have been the case. And this is not some anti-Richmond rhetoric. I know there's going to be some Richmond supporters out there who are going to sit back and go, but it's a Geelong supporter. Fuck those guys. Say what you want. This is simply a matter of, and I would have said the same thing if this was a Geelong person. And I know there's going to be people out there that are saying, I'm not acknowledging a high-profile court case. There are suppression orders in case when it comes to this thing. I am not going anywhere near that topic until it is public, and I'm in a position to do so. Done. This like if it had been any player at any club, including Geelong, I would be saying that player shouldn't play until they at least receive their sentence. He is eligible to receive up to 5 years in prison for this. Probably won't happen because he's got a legal team and he's gonna be a well-paid legal team. And he's probably going to get a hefty fine, a slap on the wrist, and off he goes because he earns shit tons as an AFL player. And that sucks. And it sucks for the victim in this particular scenario as well. It's awful. But at the very least, if that's what's going to happen, you don't know that that's what's going to happen, but like we can all assume that's probably what's going to happen. At least make him do the time within the AFL system first. The 4 weeks was to allow the court to do its thing. That got pushed 2 weeks. Well, then fine. Your 4 weeks has just become 6 weeks, mate. Sorry, you shouldn't have punched someone in the first place. That simple. And Noah Balta, you're not watching this, but Noah Balta should absolutely have had, if he's showing remorse like he claims to have, then he should have gone, my behaviors weren't appropriate. I don't want to be celebrating this or making this look like a good thing. If I haven't even been charged yet and I'm back out playing football, I should probably take the week off. If he'd have done that, I think he would have won a lot of fans and a lot of respect. I would have had a lot of respect for him. But instead, it's gone the other way. It's so dumb. And to go back to Damo's final point, when Richmond comes out and they go to make a stand about something, whatever that is, I don't care whether it's violence related or not, this is going to come back to bite them. People go, well, how can we take you seriously? Do you really believe this? Because you clearly don't really believe in, stomping out violent acts because you let your player come back and celebrated him for it. Your fans cheered him on. Like, it's bullshit. That's where we're going to wrap things up for this episode Enough of the Week. Hope you enjoyed it. Sorry, it's a very negative one, but I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope if you've got thoughts, please pop them in the comment section. Richmond supporters, I do encourage you to share your thoughts. Hopefully, be reasonable about it, please. He was probably, in my mind, one of the best players on the field and was probably the difference between Richmond winning and losing this match. And that just adds more complexity to it. If I was, on the Gold Coast, I mean, again, they should never got themselves in this situation, but if I was on the Gold Coast team, I'd be going, this bloke shouldn't even be out here. And he cost us the game. That'd give me the shits. But there's more to it than that for Gold Coast. Let me know your comments, your thoughts and your comments in the comment section below. It'd be really intriguing to hear what you've got to say. I suspect, based on the social media sentiment I've seen over the last few days, most of you probably agree. But if you've got some other thoughts or some contradictory thoughts, I'd love to hear about them. I'm not going to be, as much as I've been very harsh against everyone here, I'm not going to push back hardly. I want to, indulge in a proper conversation with you and try and get to the bottom of it and work out why we're all thinking the way we're thinking and try and find some sort of middle ground. Intellectual conversations are what we want to have here, despite the fact that I throw some F-bombs around left, right, and center before. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe. Make sure to check out our Patreon where you can subscribe for 7 days, free trial access, and get early access content, extended content, and exclusives delivered directly to your email inbox. And after those 7 days are up, for the cost of $5 or $6 a month, you can continue to get that same content delivered to that email inbox of yours and remain up to date with all of the awesome stuff that we provide, our Patreon crew. On socials, you'll find me at Paul James Games. That is Blue Sky, that is Twitter, and that is Instagram. You'll find the Hoops Crew at the Hoops Crew. And until next time, remain Geelong strong. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Noah Balta, the AFL, Adam Uze, Dimmer Hardwick, Richmond supporters, you're a bunch of nuffs. Do better. I'll see you later.